Hello, viewers, and welcome back again to the TBS series. My name is Ify, and I'm your host. And again, just a quick light on what the TBS actually does stand for. It simply means towards a better society. So what we're doing with this series is usually to talk about, things that can help us better our society. So that way we can have, a better way on how to live or how to act or how to do our businesses, how to raise our family, and all of that. All right, so today I have a wonderful topic for you guys today, right? And we'll be talking more about teenage mindset development. And to discuss this topic here with me today, I have a very wonderful person in our midst. And his name is Sam Ade. He's a teacher, a dedicated steward in his local church, a coach, and also a mentor to teenagers. And what better person to discuss this with us today other than Sam? So Sam, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ify.
All right, awesome. Great. All right, so we'll be learning a lot about, mindset development for our teenagers today because, again, I'm more, I would say, particular about this because we always hear that family is a bedrock of the society, right? So let's take a deep dive into these young minds today. Let's get to learn, what they're thinking today. We know our world has changed right from when we were kids to the period where we are currently. So let's get to hear what our teens are actually thinking today and probably what are some of the great things that we can do to help that development stage of their lives. All right, so Sam, let's get right into it. I would just like to understand, is there really any, will I use the word correlation, right, to a teenage stage of life, to an adult life, right? Because we want to really understand, does it have any impact, the things we do when we're teenagers to the adult life?
Okay, again, thank you, Ify, for this opportunity to hang out with you and to discuss life.
Always
I think
a pleasure.
it's an aspect of life
Always a pleasure.
that we've all experienced at some point. And to start with, the teenage years itself is something wonderful. I mean, for some, they had horrible experience. Some had a very good, memorable experience. But in general, back to your question, you're asking about the correlation between the
teenage
years,
stage of life, yep, and the adult life.
So let's back up a little bit. Life itself is continuum. Okay, we keep moving from one phase to the other. In as much as life is continuum, life is dynamic. However, there are some things that are being transferred from one phase of life to the next. Now, for the focus of our discussion today, or conversation, I should say, we'll limit it to the teenage years and the adulthood, phase of life. Teenage years itself is filled with so many memories, because it's a time where the sense of living, all right, begins to dawn on an individual, the teenager.
So that realization begins to come to play.
That's right. So the first thing is the identity formation, where the teenager is beginning to be self-conscious, self-aware of who he is, who she is. Now, some are able to handle that identity formation very well, while some did not. They have some sort of, insecurity, low self-esteem to deal with. And all those things, unfortunately, transfer into the adulthood
the next stage of life,
where they are still not confident of themselves, even as an adult, because of how the teenage years, played out. So apart from the identity formation, what about the cognitive development, where a teenager is able to get into abstract thinking? Is a moment where the feeling of independence emerge. Like, okay, mom, I want to be by myself. I can do this. Oh,
they begin to feel like
an adult.
I got this.
Even though they are not an adult yet,
yes.
But the feeling of independence is there. Oh, don't tell me what to do. I got to figure out, I can fix things and all that. So all of those things played out in the teenage years, and they transfer into the adulthood
adulthood.
stage. So yeah, again, everyone who is an adult will attest to the fact that at some point, if you have a reflection at some point in your life,
Something about the teenage is
Yeah.
affecting your
Yep.
today.
Yep, yep. And I also quickly want to say this. So the nature of man in itself, the composition of man, well, my faith teaches that man is triune in nature, just like the supreme God. You know how they talked about, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, but it's not a religious topic, so let's not go in there. But the context of man in itself, all right, the man is also triune. He's a spirit. He has a soul, and he
has
lives
a
in a
body.
body. Okay, so all of those things make up of an adult. There are some memories that will stick with you till
The day you
you
leave.
passed on. All right. So, and some of those memories are probably your teenage years, good memories, and all that. So, again, going back again to the soul of man. All right. Well, again, the context, the question you asked me is something very, very deep,
Very vast.
and I don't think we have enough time to really do a deep dive
Justice
into it. So there are some aspects of your brain too. All right, the way the brain is compartmentalized. You have like three components of the brain. There's an aspect that deals with the past, right? The memories. There's an aspect that deals with the present, the fight or flight moment, which is the present. And there's an aspect that deals with the future, where you begin to imagine,
Things that
what's your
can
tomorrow,
happen.
So again, back to your question, the aspect of your brain that deals with the past, all right, has to do with your teenage years too. And all those things are,
That we did when
yeah,
teenagers.
the good, the
They
bad,
will
the ugly.
come.
There are
Okay.
some learning experience in life that happened to you during your teenage years
That you will never
that you
forget.
will never forget. And it becomes, a working tool.
To shapen
Yeah.
your tomorrow.
So each time you get into a situation where you have to make the decision, the fight or flight decision, then that memory kicks in because of your teenage years. So again, in summary, some had a very good teenage years, the event and the experiences, which of course, are still helping them in making decisions and making good living as an adult. Why some, unfortunately,
Yeah. They didn't really have
yeah,
good.
they had to, relearn, unlearn, and
And try
retrain
to get
as an
something
adult.
different. That's true. That's a very great way, and I like the way you put it. I mean, even though we didn't have enough time to take a deep dive into it, but what we're getting from it is obviously the things that happen within that teen age, that developmental stage, obviously has an impact in the life of our adults today. So and I know by virtue of what you do, you're a coach and a mentor to some of these teenagers. I know you interact with them a lot. Can you gauge on an average, what their mindset is like today? Because we grew up differently, and these kids are in a stage that, the internet has taken over. Too many
Yeah.
things are happening at once. We're hearing so many wrong information out there. Can you, at this point, gauge where the mindset of an average teen actually is? I mean, are they feeling like we are not connected to them as adults? Where are they right now?
Well, I should put a disclaimer out there
Okay.
that I don't have that superpower.
Yes.
All right, I'm not Superman to know what's on
What
the mind of an average teenager. And also, by virtue of my assignments, my local place of worship, I get to interact, or I should say, hang out with the teenagers. I'm talking of average of like 30, sometimes 40 on the average in attendance every weekend. So, putting in context the things they say, their response to question, all right, their subconscious attitude,
Yes.
where I
Yeah.
have to keep correcting. Of course, the number one thing, a lot of them deal with is the struggle with their phones. Right, they
Yeah.
always want to be on their phone, and of course, there is no doubt that we are in the internet age, where even the economy itself is a knowledge-driven economy. So, what then is the average mind, or
Teenager.
what's on their mind? Well, there's so many things. Of course, like I said earlier on, the teenage years itself, it's a moment, or it's a phase of life that comes with visible changes. All right, changes that has to do with the physical, bodily changes,
Biological
biological,
changes,
yeah,
psychological changes.
emotional changes, and all that. A period in time where they are conscious of their identity, who they are.
Aware
So,
of the
so,
environment.
so what's on their mind are pretty much all those things. All right. How do I fit in? That's the number one thing. They are conscious of their environment. They are conscious of their peers. Okay. How do I fit in? Is this person more beautiful than me? Is this person looking, well dressed than me? All right. Is this person appears to be more smart or
Smarter than
smarter,
me.
I should
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
all right, than me, more intelligent than me, and all that. So that's what their mind, it's all about. And I'm saying now, well, to every rule, there's an exception. But now we're looking at the average teenager, all right? An average teenager wants to be competitive in all ramification, appearance. Oh, am I getting fat? I mean, these are questions they ask
They
you.
ask.
Am I skinny? Am I?
Okay.
An average teenager, is competitive in nature because they are just aware of themselves. And a lot of these too are being fueled by what they consume online. They all have, different social accounts. Why the adults are still trying to get used to
The new internet age.
a particular social. I'm very
Yeah.
conscious of our content, so I don't name certain brands. While you're still trying to get use of a particular social media platform,
They're way ahead of you.
they already left that platform,
To something
to
else.
something else.
Okay.
All right,
More sophisticated.
more sophisticated. You're right. So and that's it. So Facebook, for instance, why you're still getting used of Facebook and say like, okay, well, they're no longer there.
They've moved to something
They
that
moved to
is
something else,
speaking to their today for them.
Oh yeah,
This is
yeah,
this
yeah.
is very interesting.
So again to your question, what's the average mind? Anything that is competitive. All right, and the good ones among them, all right, are even competitive with their academics too.
Yes, that's true.
Oh yeah, if you just got a full ride scholarship, how about me?
Yeah.
I'm still applying for scholarships. All right, that becomes a motivation
For them.
for that particular individual. All right, so
Wow. Very interesting. So for those of us who have teens at home, I think it's high time we all started to pay attention. And I was going to ask, for guidance and parents now,
Yeah.
how do we step into this developmental stage of their life? What can be our role in helping to mold this stage of their life, making sure, that they're towing the right path as they discover themselves, as they become aware of their environment?
Okay. Again, I put up another disclaimer. I'm not a certified counselor. I feel, over the years, I've observed that parenting is one thing that we aren't trained for. We never received like formal training for parenting. Okay, whether you're parenting a child or a teenager, we never received any formal.
By formal training, you mean like going to a class the same
yeah.
way you learn?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you
All
go.
this stuff we get to learn about parenting are informal, right?
Handed down from.
Yep.
Okay.
From generation to generation, the way your mom raised. I mean, you always refer to how you were brought up by your parent, and sometimes, going to church or going to your religious place of worship too, there are some take-homes that you get or takeaways you get from the messages there, that becomes a tool in your bag, all right, to better raise your kids and all that. But back to your question, I feel if we have to train or guide our teenagers, it is something we have to do intentional. It has to be deliberate. Now, the book of wisdom says, train up a child.
In the way he should
In the
go.
way. So a child, going by definition, we could say maybe a child is at the age of preteens, right? The pre-teenage years, right? But now, a teenager, do you train a teenager or you give instructions? Or you give guidance. All right. So, unfortunately, from the part of the world where I come from, the older generation or the adults or the parents don't even know how to switch. All right. Now, you're dealing with a teenager here. The approach has to be different. You have to be open-minded. That's number one thing. Well, because there are some things. Again, their world is different from
ours.
Yeah. So
Okay.
acknowledge that first. That you should first of all acknowledge it. The truth is this: there are some things that you did as a teenager, and some of it are still unknown to your parents. Think about it.
True.
Right. So we all have that, instances, event in our lives where, why? Because again, you look at your parents. Sometimes you wish, like, okay, wow, I wish I could discuss this with my parent. But
knowing your parents,
knowing them, yeah, the environment.
knowing the kind of parents you have.
Exactly.
Yes.
You also look at their own generation too, the way they were brought up. All right, in just like a command and control setting. No room for dialogue. Like, hey, Dad, how
You're
you doing?
being told what to do.
Yeah, you don't question.
You don't question.
You don't. But now, in this day and age, and in this part of the world, that approach is not going to work. It's not going to be effective, except you want to train a robot, where, oh yeah, do as I say, and they do
Yes.
it. But for you to effectively train
Make
or
an
guide
impact in
or
their
make an
life.
impact, number one thing, you have to be open-minded. Open-minded. Well, because of my assignment in my local church, there are certain questions teenagers ask me, in confidence, and I have to respect it. Their views about different things. Well, LGBTQ, for instance, is totally different from the average adult, the average Christian adult. Now, understand that some of these teenagers too have to be guided in a certain way. Again, I'm very careful with the choice of my words. You have to guide them. You have to coach them. You don't impose.
Don't command it.
Yes. You
try
don't-
to get into their world
That's
and
right.
say, we're kind of on the same, just
Right.
confide in me and
Right.
let's reason
Right.
together.
So, and you have to do an active listening.
Very important.
Very important. A lot of times you see some parents, they are not really listening. And the teenager is telling you, you're not listening to me.
And you're still busy
when
doing
when,
what you
when
do.
they tell you you're not listening to me,
It's an indicator.
it's different from we just having conversation. No, you really have to listen and help decode the messages. Reading between the lines what they are
What
trying
they are
to tell
trying
you.
to say.
All right? And there are some conversations they engage you in. You don't have to react immediately. I'm sorry to say to all my, I'm sorry to say this,
Yes.
the part of the world where I come from, the teenagers say, oh, the parents are too dramatic. you know, and they don't have time for all those dramas. So there are some things they will not bring up to the table to discuss with their parent.
And that's dangerous.
Of course, it is. It is.
Because they must say something to somebody. So if they're
It
not
is.
talking to you, it means they're talking to somebody else.
That's right. Don't forget that we are in what? The internet era, right? A knowledge-driven society. There is nothing you're looking for on the internet
That you will not find.
that you won't find. So I have the option not to talk to my parent. If I feel that, okay, well, they're not going to welcome this conversation, then there's no point bringing it up. So unfortunately, that parent already lost that
that
teenager.
opportunity. This is deep. Very deep.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a good one. So I know, and I know you've mentioned quite a lot of things, but I think two major things I got from here is be open-minded, one,
Yep.
and be an active listener.
Yes.
So these two things, let's hope we can put them in our toolboxes for those of us who have teens at home, because, you know, we're losing our teenagers today. Let's not try to paint it in a lighter mood. We're seeing things happen today. We're seeing some of the things that we see on the internet, and it's mind blowing.
That's right.
Like, how did our kids get to this point, right? So, I mean, I'm hoping, you know, with these two tools we've taken in today, let's try to put that into action and see, you know, where that takes us to. So my next question would be, because I know sometimes, and some articles I've read, and probably some people I have listened to would say, you know, try to keep your kids busy so that way they're not spending time on the internet. So let me try to be fair to parents now today, right? Because we're busy, we have to make money. So
True.
now we're busy. Is it okay if I place my child on a routine? Now, by routine, I mean in the morning, you know, wake up, go to school, come back, maybe say about 3 in the afternoon, do your homework. By the time you're done with homework, I'll be done with work. And then I take you for your after school activity. You go play basketball, you come home, take your dinner, you go to bed. Isn't that enough to keep my teenager off track, like on track rather, not off track, to keep them on track with the busy routine?
Well, funny but true. I mean, that is the reality out there. But if you're going to do that, I mean, the very first question you should ask is, what value, right, do you think those schedules, all right, will yield on the long run? Are you doing that, you know, to get away from
While away time.
or probably, I mean, it's just something to get your life moving. Oh, I have to go to work. I'm not going to get done until like 6 p.m. So what are the activities that I need to put in place to get, you know, my kids or my teenagers involved until I show up at home? If that's all the value, all the motives, then this is wrong. Well, let's again, for every rule, there's going to be an exception. For those who are single parents, of course, there is no help. All right, it places, you know, a difficult challenge on them. Now you can make up for the time, but unfortunately, you have parents too who the entire week and weekends is fully booked with activities
that are not including this child.
that are not exactly. And mind you, when a parent is how will I put it, when there is a gap between a parent and a teenager, it's not an overnight incident. It's not something that happens overnight. It's been something that has been building up.
over time.
Over time. So as a single parent, I believe you can make up time. And as parents, you know, co-parent, you can always adjust your schedule. If the dad won't be available,
Have like an alternate
the
schedule.
mom should
Somebody
be there to do something. All right. And hey, you never go wrong when you have, you know, that moment with your teenagers. It could be the father-daughter moment mother son, mother daughter, however you want to put it, it's very important. Remember, I said you have to be intentional when you are guiding this teenager. You have to be intentional. All right. In your time management too, you have to be intentional. As pastors, you have to be intentional. As church workers,
You have to be intentional.
Yeah, and the thing is that, I mean, for folks who are Christian, right? God will always hold the parent accountable
For that child
for
that's
that
in your
child,
custody.
especially the father. Well, if you're a single mom, well, you are the father figure. You'll be held accountable for how your teenager,
How the teenager
you
grew
know,
up.
turned
Because
out.
it's under your watch.
Yeah. So again, to your question, can I just, just to
Keep them
while
busy.
away my time, keep them busy? Well, if that's the current state of your life right now, well, go ahead, do what you have to do, but very, very important, you have to make time out for them. Yeah, and it has to be on schedule.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I like that. Because sometimes when it's not on your schedule, you kind of even forget.
Yep.
Yeah. And don't even realize that you've not sat down with this child for a month.
It has to be a mutual agreement, right? Because, I mean, we've heard incidences where a teenager will accuse his parent or a parent. Oh, you never have time for me. All what you do is go to work.
Oh, and we hear that a
Why
lot
are you
these
blaming me?
days.
Why are you?
Yes, we hear that a lot these days.
Yeah. So how do you avoid that? Well, the responsibility is on the parent. Make time out. I keep emphasizing that. Make time out.
All right. So again, if you have teens at home or would-be teens, because your young kids will also grow into that teenage. I think this
That's right.
this is another good point that you've made today. We have to be really intentional about this, because in everybody's life there's that vacuum, whether we like it or not,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So you want to be the one to fill it in. Don't let the internet do that for you. Don't
Yeah.
let the bad friends outside of your home.
And nature abhors vacuum, as they say.
There you go. So, so be intentional. I think that's what we're learning today. You need to be intentional. Fit that into your schedule if you have to. I mean, you should. I think that's what we're hearing
And if
today.
you can, I quickly also say something. Sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you. You look at teenagers these days, right? They appear, self-sufficient. What do I mean by that? Well, in this part of the world, they have their room, right? And there's so many things they can do in that
Within the
room.
confines of that room.
Yeah. As long as they have their phone, they're connected to the internet. Yeah, there's so
That's
many
all
things.
they need.
Yeah. So it's dangerous if you're not spending time with your teenager.
teenagers.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Very, very, very good. And that will bring me to my next question, because
Okay.
I was going to ask, so what are some of the signs that we can see, from our teenagers to say, looks as though things are beginning to go south? What are some of the signs that we can see?
Well, the first one is isolation. All right. They're isolated, easily isolated. Yeah,
And by isolation, you mean they just want to be by themselves?
exactly. Isolation is one thing, and when they're isolated, what do you think they are doing?
Good question.
What do you think they are doing? Right? Some of them will be on their phone. Not even some. Most of them, majority of them will be on their phone. And if they're not on their phone, you have another one, some categories that will be on screen, video games.
Video games.
Right? And very few will probably be reading. Very few will be reading.
And by reading, it could be academic, it could be
yep.
non-academic.
Yeah, something profitable, yeah, anyways. Yeah. So what's the sign? Isolation. Then you look at their social skills too. All right. A lot of them don't really know how to relate. Relate with their peers or relate with, adults. They don't know how to relate. And it tells you, because you also have to look at maturity, from the three different components of life. The physical, right? The emotional well-being, the spiritual well-being. Well, we're not talking about the spiritual well-being now. We're not talking about the physical well-being. All right, but we're looking at what the
Yeah,
social well-being, the emotional aspect of it too. A lot of them don't know how to relate. Is your teenager coming up to you all the time to engage you in conversation? When you try to engage your teenager in conversation, is he or she receptive? Those are the signs. But unfortunately, you have parents who are not really,
bothered about it.
number one, some of them don't even have the time. They don't have the time to like sit down and like, hey,
Have a conversation.
Okay. Let me say this. A teenager who is 17, 18, 19, have you had a conversation with him or her about a social lifestyle? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a crush? Do you have, in as much as you want to be spiritual, it's not going to
It's not
happen with
pointed.
these teenagers. These are conversations from time to time. You have to be, again, that's where open-mindedness comes in too. You have to be open-minded, and feel comfortable having this conversation.
And don't tell them in my days when my grandmother was raising.
No, those days are long gone. Those days,
My grandmother, my grandfather.
those days are
They're
long gone.
gone.
Yeah. So you have to spend time, bring up conversation, random conversation.
Try to know their
Yeah.
friends as well.
It's important. Some of them, will bring some of the friends home, and some will not. They'll say, "Oh no, my dad won't allow you to come." They kind of question. Okay, well, when you have friends who are opposite sex, are you comfortable as a parent? Oh no. Because sometimes we just want to have this. How will I put it?
Stereotyped way of doing
Stereotype.
things.
Thank you. I think that's the exact word, right? The stereotype mindset. Like, okay, well, yeah, or well, my teenage girl is not bringing an opposite sex home, as a friend, or so you think everything is okay. What makes you think everything is okay? It's just an assumption.
Yes.
So you don't assume with teenagers. Don't make that mistake to assume their lifestyle. You have to be well informed
About
of their
what is
lifestyle.
going on.
Don't make assumption. Don't make assumption.
This is a deep one too. So from some of the signs I know you've mentioned, you talked about isolation. Obviously, maybe with some of the people they're hanging out with, are they able to hold that conversation with you and feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Right? They don't have this yes/no answers.
Yeah.
When you ask one question, yes. The next one, no. The next one, yes. And they've taken their food and they've gone back into their room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also another dangerous sign to look out for. Are there other signs you think that if we observe, that can give us an indication that things are going out?
Well, to me, it's not a one size fits all
all.
approach.
Okay.
Yeah, I know individual lifestyle will definitely
Will
vary,
vary.
because our family values are different.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
true.
I mean, and also our personality too.
True.
Again, the teenager who is an introvert, you don't expect him to act like an extrovert. So, but again, you know your child, right?
Exactly.
So
I was gonna say
you
that.
should know. But again, it is very, very important. Observation. All what you need to do is observe.
So if something is different from how your child would
You-
naturally act,
You will know,
then you will know. Yes.
except you're not paying attention. And again, I think we touched on it. Why most parents are not paying attention. Hey, you've gone to work. Someone will even work 12 hours, 18 hours. As soon as they get back home, they're tired.
Yeah,
They
just
just want
straight
to,
to bed.
get something to eat. And yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So, and this continues, week after week, month after month, and gradually you're losing.
Slowly but surely,
Yeah.
it's coming to happen.
So, yeah,
Okay.
it's observation. I think that's
Yes.
the primary thing. Observation
Yes.
will tell you.
Will tell you. So that's a good one, and so that will bring us to asking now, right? So now we've we've known some of these great things that, we can take note of if something is going different from the kids that we have at home. Major thing is to be very observant, so that way you can tell what's happening. So what are some, I mean, in your own opinion, again, I know, we're not saying you're a major professional here though, but as a mentor or from all of the studies you've made, interactions, what would be some of the recommendations you would give to parents? So let's assume people are listening to us and somebody sees themselves in all of this that we're talking about today, like, oh, I've been so busy, I've not had time for my kids.
That's right.
What would be some of the recommendations you would give to parents or guidance, who have teens at home?
Okay. The first thing would be to set a clear expectation. And again, all of these thrives on effective communication. All right. The first thing is you should have a clearly defined expectation. Hey, Ife, these are my expectation, and your expectation too should be in sync with reality. All right. I mean, sometimes you'll hear some teenagers too will say, "Oh, I don't want my parents to hear of this. I know."
And they're so afraid.
Of course, they know. And the golden rule the parents will usually give to their teenagers back in Africa. Each time you're about to travel or go to maybe somewhere outside the comfort of your house or your home, what would they tell you? Remember the son of
who you are.
So that's golden, Why are they telling you? Because they have an expectation, and you know that expectation. Whether it was clearly set out formally or informally, you know. So number one thing, okay, set a clearly defined expectation. Number two, all right, be that role model. It's very important. Be that role model. How do you want your teenagers to turn out later in life? Are you also displaying, exhibiting those things?
Because they see you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, funny jokes. Most African parents will tell you, oh yeah, I was in honor rolls during my days. I take the first positions and all that.
Too.
Then the question is, okay, if all of you are
who came last in class?
So
yes.
Yeah, you have to be that role model. Very important. In words, in deeds. It's important. Then the family values too. All right. Your teenager should be able to tell, all right, what your family values are. Unfortunately, most homes, I won't say most homes, I'll say maybe few, they really don't know what their family values are. Some family values are good, right? Now, are those things consciously instilled
in the minds of
these children? So they should be able to know what their family's values are. There are some teenagers that will tell you, oh, this, no, it's not acceptable.
It's a no
in my house. They will tell you because they know it.
I love that.
So yeah, we can stick with those three for now.
Wow, this is very, very deep. So we're all on a mission, believe it or not, right? Everybody wants to see their child turn out right. But the question is, what work are you putting in to get that to happen? So we've heard quite a lot from him today. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine some of the things, because I know, truth be told, we're guilty at some point where our lives these days, are all over the place. But then, these are some of the things that I'm hoping all of us, even you listening to us today, will take home with you as a tool, right? Be intentional, be observant, be that role model you want your child to be. It has to be positive, right? So you don't want to be that negative vibe that your child is saying, and then you're telling the child, don't do this. Yeah. But then they remind you, but daddy, you're doing this, right?
Right.
So you don't want to get into that space where they're bringing it back to you to say, you're asking me to stop this, but you're doing it, right? So let's try to put out that right attitude so they can see us and also copy, and also be better people in our society tomorrow. So, I mean, we've given a lot of recommendations to our parents.
A lot. And one quick thing, which is like an addition too. Parents also needs to be supportive. Yeah, because there are instances too where you want to go north, they want to go south, or you going westbound, they want to go eastbound. But you should have, an agreement, a common ground.
A soft landing.
A soft landing where both parties can agree. Hey, I mean, you have parents who would go as far as dictating the choice of career for their
You
teenagers.
must do this.
You must be a medical doctor.
Yes.
You must be an engineer.
Doctor
You must
or
be
nothing.
like, no, I just want to be an artist. I just want to be like, what? So, in as much as you spend time talking, support their dreams, because you never know
You never know.
where they will land.
You never know.
Support
never know.
support their dreams and be there for them.
Yeah,
Be
true.
there.
True. So, I mean, we obviously don't have all the time left in the world, but then I will just say, we've given some recommendations to both parents and guardians and all of the people looking after our teens. What would be some of the things, assuming a teen were to be listening to you now, what would be some of the recommendation you would give to these teenagers? Or advice, I would say.
Oh, advice.
Let's say advice.
Advice.
Let's say
Well,
advice.
again, like I said at the beginning, some teenagers, or some adults, had a smooth transition, all right, to adulthood, because some of these elements were there, the good ones. They had the template. But for teenagers who they're just on their own, the parents nowhere to be found, the parents are non-resident, not active in their lives, some of them had to struggle on their own to discover who they want to be. All right. So some had it, easy, some did not. So currently for teenagers who don't have the template, all right, from their parents or from the environment, I think the first thing should be, to define who you want to be.
A self-reflection.
Define. That's where vision comes. Well, we'll talk about vision. People, it's kind of, complex for some people to really define, or what's the vision? Who do you want to be in life? I think if you are able to define that as a teenager, then who you want to be in life will determine how you spend your time, will determine who you bring into your life. Are you trying to fit into the circle of those who want to party, those who want to, So I think that is the foundation. So for teenagers out there, start by defining, who do you want to be in life? Who do you want to be in life will determine what type of college do you want to go to. We determine, I want to have a full ride scholarship to attend this college. And before you know it, all other activities of your life will align with that very first definition of who you want to be in life.
Awesome. That's a great one. And if I were to add my 1 cent, I would also say, you can work on building your self-confidence, because then people would not be pushing you around. The peer pressure wouldn't come in, because like you said, if you've discovered to say, this is who I want to be, peer pressure would not dwindle you away from that vision.
That's right.
That's a great one. Awesome. So, I know, like I said, we don't have all day. So, with a few tips we've learned today, I'm hoping again, our viewers out there will be able to put some of these things into their toolboxes. So that way we would all join hands. We're on a rescue mission, guys. We need to all wake up. And that includes me who's talking, right? So we all need to wake up to rescue our teens, because we want to see a better society tomorrow. And it starts with these children, the next generation that are upcoming. So again, thank you so much for great words of wisdom today, Sam. Thank you. We've learned a lot today. And, like we said, we hope that people will take things and run with it. All right. So if I know people might be saying, I need to hear more about this whole mentorship and how to, how to coach my team and all of that. If people are trying to reach you, what would be a best way to reach you?
They can shoot me an email.
Great.
Yeah, they can shoot me an email. I'm not active on social,
social media, there you
so
go.
I think email is the best.
Awesome.
Yep.
So, and I'll be
Contact.
putting that on the screen as well, so that way you can also reach him directly if you need some of this, tips on how to connect with your team and also to reach them in the right way. All right, viewers, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Hopefully, we'll bring you more educative things that can help you, to be able to give you that right mindset that can help build, that society that we're all looking towards to having. In the meantime, my name is Ify. Thank you guys for being hanging around with us today. And again, thank you, Sam, for being here. Enjoy the rest days enjoy the rest days ahead. And obviously, we'll see you in our next episode. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.